It's cold. It's raining. Pick the best day to do this sort of stuff. Well, the head is sitting about where we had her last time. We're going to do stuff that's not right, not perfect, whatever. We're going to make an attempt. We've got valve seats. We've got the valve spring compressor thingy. And when I say we're not going to do things right, I'm going to try to, very backyard, very backwoods, shave this down with an angle grinder. The areas, put new valve seats in it, see if we can make it run on the existing head. So things that need to happen, you can see on that surface there, the piston comes up flush with that. That's so beat up, that needs to be ground down flat with the deck. We need a wire wheel to get all this junk off. Some people, I mean, I just can't believe that they would head gasket in a bottle. I get it, last ditch attempt before you get rid of the thing, but here we are. Never use it. Look at that. I'll glove up, grind that down too. We've got at least one valve seat. We'll take a look at these guys and see how they look. As I said, this is not the right way to do it. The right way is a new head, because I don't think there's a correct amount of machining that's going to solve the problems we have on this thing. So, new head you should get. But on me, we're going to try to do this cheaply. The end result might be me doing this job twice, the second time with a new head. But a new head is possible. Look how bad the piston looks, and we got to do some cleaning here, which we will do, and all will be well. Oh, welcome back to the shop. There's a head on the table here. And pro tip for the, not really pro tip, amateur tip. Surfaces down here, the soft MDF, no bueno, but you get yourself some of this super cheap tile. Fortunately, the stickies on this been covered with oil too many times. Comes right off. Get yourself a good surface here. There's probably a better solution. Hey, do your comments below. Let's get into this. Look at how not great that surface is. Actually, the whole thing all the way around is pretty bad. But here specifically, it just got beaten up by that valve seat so much that it's actually risen up. And with how, I wouldn't say tight. She's not a tight engine by any means. I mean, it's not a non-interference motor. So here, where the piston comes up, it will hit that in places. And obviously, that's not ideal. So I'm going to have to remove some material or at least flatten it out. Now, it's going to be dimpled like a golf ball for air, whatever's. But it's got to be done. And do not forget, you got to suits up. I'll start with the wire wheel. We'll see what comes off this thing. Now, should you use a wire wheel on an aluminum head? People are going to have opinions. Go slow speed. Whoa, look at that. So that's what we're working with here. And that is the reason you do not use head gasket in a bottle. Well, it is effective at blocking passages. Look at that. And that silver or glass in a bottle, whatever you call it. Now, obviously, we got to get all that material off. There's probably not going to be, it's not going to be great. We'll get it as good as we can. This isn't rocket appliances, just a Ford super port induction, whatever. But that stuff is all over. There you can see that real build up there. And you can see her blocking the passages, especially right there. Or while we wheel the whole thing, get her clean here. I'll reverse it so you can see that material flying to you. Woo! Oh, there. That cleans up nice. Look at that. Let's take the carbon buildup off. Yeah, buddy, this is coming out nicely. I don't know why I was so worried about using a wire brush on here. This is actually looking really good. Hold up. I mean, look at that, looking real good. Look at that carnage, though. Whew. Well, we're gonna blow this out, get some compressed air in there. Same here. And even in number 3, there you can see. Oof. The gasket and the seal over and up nicely on that. Yeah. But the ledges that come up needs to be rectified. The mushrooming got to be completely flat there. So, next step, I'm going to hit this a little bit more with the wire brush, and look at all that debris and stuff that comes right out of there. Hit it a little bit more with the wire brush, back with the angle grinder, show you that. We'll be back for that. So I've reconsidered my ways and decided that a flap disc is a more appropriate tool than a grinding disc. Boop. let's get you that extreme close-up that you know you want. Extreme close-up, whoa! Oh yeah. Now I am trying to show some caution. We don't want to go below. We're going to lose compression. We also don't want to get on the outside edges here. That would cause a problem. Ooh. Something that works as a flat edge. Last one we're going to do. Actually is looking better than I thought. I like this. Let's clean up, roll her over. We've got to remove some valves. Valve springs. Let's see. Well, I've already broken one loose, and the next loose one. Both these intakes are loose. We're going to take off these two, see what we see here. I don't know what the torque. Impact. Click, click, click. Retainer, all right. And a rocker. Ooh. Now that valve should be closed. Roll this thing over until this one is loose. Interesting lash numbers here. Will it get loose? Should be. Oh, geez. Should not do that. Uh-oh. Where'd it go? I'm gonna have to review the footage on that one. Uh-oh. Do not roll it over while the thing's apart. Oh, geez. Ordering more parts from the Rock Auto isn't the end of the world, but that there. Roller. Nice. That's what I lost there. The top. I might have to get a roller for these things. Might as well look at the rollers while we're at her here. And we'll open up our Maddox valve spring compressor. Well, I was gonna go through the trouble of using the valve spring and everything, but valve spring compressor, this guy, but what a pain. Oh, I only got half it off? Oh, come on. Well, here I was trying to show you something cool. There we are. So, where is, there she is. There's half the retainer. You know, the trouble with that is that you're bound to lose some of your pieces. Well, oh man. Well, we can get our valve out now. We can get our valve seats out. Let's do the same thing on the other side. This time we'll do a better job of containing it. That is the way. Bam. Well, the valve, a little crusty, a little dinged up. Actually, no. That seat looks downright decent. Look at that. Well, all right. And looking down here, you can see a valve seat gone. The whole thing. The whole thing is gone. All right. Looking over here, the other dinged one. That one still appears to be present. All right. And the whole thing, number one, it failed in the exact way that we would expect. Because I always say, number one, that valve's first two. So, and that is where our damage is centralized. Now, if the valve hanging open like that, she is going to backfire through the intake. Let me get my orientation right. That side. Is that right? Yes, that's this side. It's going to backfire through the intake, come up through here, get in adjacent cylinders, cause all sorts of havoc. Now I'm going to look a bit deeper here and make sure we're not missing any more over here. So we're going to roll her over. Not the easiest thing to do one-handed, but I'll show you there. Ah, come on. Try to get in there enough to see to make sure that we're not missing any valve seat there, and I don't think we are. All right, so number two, intake, good. Next, get me number three. Number three, intake. You can barely see that, but valve seat looks good. There we are. Number three, I see a valve seat in there. I'm trying to get you guys the best angles here. That was just 2 again. I'll do it. But no valve seat. Let's get a valve seat. So valve seats, obviously the correct way is to bore over that seat a little bit and get an oversized valve seat. We did not do that. From the Rock Auto, and it costs nearly nothing. How far off are we, though, is a question. All right, this is supposed to be a standard sized. Let's toss one in the cooler, I guess. We'll try that old trick. But man, that is thick. What did I order and what did I get are going to be the questions. That is not seating right. There, I have a flat surface. There I have a conical one. You order new valve seats, they do not come even machined for a valve. They come completely flat. Is a problem for me. Well, how do we move forward? So this is sort of a comedy of errors, I guess. Let's carry on. You need to stop, you need to think, you need to collaborate. I've got some thinking I'm doing about doing this a not right way. This whole thing of redoing this head is the not right way. You would just replace this head. You would not do what we're trying to do here. We put it together as a 3-cylinder, although that's not going to be very good. That's not going to be very good. So, I mean, we need to cut some. What's the degrees on this guy? And I'm sitting here and I'm contemplating new methods to do this. We have this guy, that, and then we got to apparently shave a little bit off the outside. So I got to shave the outside, or I got to shave the head, or the valve seat area of the head. One of the two. This is not accurate enough for machining work. I could potentially go to a machine shop. Now, I pulled out the micrometer to get some measurements. Of course, it needs new batteries. Pulled it out to do some measurements. I could measure it. I could take it to a machine shop. Got to measure the outside to find a proper fit there. Or, I mean, just take it in with the valve. And I could probably, the outside area is a compression fit, and you're going to heat the head. That's what we're going to do. We're going to heat the head, freeze the valve seat. It should pop right in. Once temperature stabilize, all should be well. That's the idea. But I'm thinking, just bring the thing to a machine shop. How much can they charge to do one valve seat? This is a really janky operation. Absolutely. And it's not the right way to do things at all. I'm going to think on it, and I'll be back with an update for you. Another day, and we're back at this head. Now, on our exciting cliffhanger of last time. How'd you know? In the last clip, maybe even the immediate last clip, this was too thick for this. Oh, she's a thick boy. Now, story of my life, we can just jam her down in the hole, but when things don't fit, you should stop, think, and collaborate, and make something work here. Now, how can we reduce this? So we need to shave the outside. We obviously have our valve cutting seat here. I'm feeling plugging the thing in. We are going to take a little bit off the exterior, the OD of this valve seat. A little bit off of that. Get her as smooth as we can. And then, depending on what we need, we may expand that a bit. That is a job for a job. Or I'm assuming there's a proper tool for that, but meh. I turned that off a bit ago. She's got some mass and good bearings, good stuff. Now, I've set it in here, but not quite. Well, obviously you don't want it to just fall in. And now this thing is piping hot, of course. We're going to freeze that. Yep, we are going to free. Oh, we are so close. So close to redemption. So close to perfection. Yeah, we're just going to pop this in the freezer for a bit. More importantly, what's for dinner? Nothing pre-made here. I will drop you in between some hot dogs right here. Valve seat for Alternators doesn't have a whole lot of mass, but plan moving forward. Fitment and see if we can pound her in here. Now, if we can't, we're going to take a grinder. We could use a Dremel for this. It would be just fine. In fact, that little circular wheel would probably be just perfect to go right around these holes, or right around that to get her in. But, so we're going to try that, the grinder, or maybe an air thingy. We got options. Cold valve seat. Room temperature head. My room temperature is like 50 degrees. There's a nice snowstorm going on. Not snowstorm. Oh, that is really close. I might just be able to just... It's a press fit. I don't know. We probably don't want to get too excited with that, huh? Well, this guy hasn't been used in a hot minute. The Hyper Tough. 35,000 RPM. Hot diggity. I'm feeling the cylinder attachment is perfect to do that. And this should actually go pretty fast. It's aluminum after all. Which is weird for a guy that's consistently making these kinds. Now let's do the thing. Well, now a thing has been done. I just popped her in here. Just dropped it in. I'll zoom up on it so you can see here. Yeah, I just dropped it in there to see how she would fit. And we're in there. So use tools properly. So small that it cools quickly. I think we are here. Now, you can go with a little hog wild, please. We're going to resurface this anyway. Maybe get a more appropriately sized hammer. Make sure your hammers are wet. And I am using an impact rated extension, as you can see. Alright, so here's the close-up, including all of our sins. Here is our cutting tool. That goes right into there. Let's get the proper... That's another. There she is. Then drops in like that. Then we got this guy. And we're going to be doing this for a bit. You can do it. Put your back into it. Or a glove. I'm already working on a nasty blister down there. Ain't no soft hands here, that's for sure. We just got to keep going. Because as I showed with the valve, it is sticking up a little bit. I think we have enough clearance. I think we have enough space. However, you saw on the piston, let me show you that real quick. There are these little cutouts for the valves. You know, interesting design. But these pistons on that valve, no. Thinking a lot about these things. This is a non-interference engine. If you lose your timing belt, other than needing a new timing belt, everything is fine with the world. So, here I was thinking that the valve and that piston need to be in the same spot at the same time. Even if it was just slightly, just a little bit more protruded than the other ones. I'm still cutting, I'm still working on it. We got a lot more to go. This is a, I'm not sure, well, it's got to be a manual process because I wouldn't say it's more precise if it's manual, but if you attach it to a drill, other than a machinist drill or a stationary lathe or anything, I can't think of a drill that is precise enough to do this kind of work. You're going to get a little bit of warble, and you probably aren't even going to see it, but it'll be there. Is machining it manually like this? Now, I am imperfect. Am I putting the same amount of pressure on every single crank that I'm doing on the thing? No, but it evens out. And I'm taking some effort here. I will show you that effort in just a second. But, so even though it has the cutout here, that's got to be to make her a non-interference motor. Ford, you probably could have got, although that would have taken the compression down a little bit, but you probably could have got just a little bit more higher compression ratio, a little bit more power. I don't know what compression these run off the top of my head, or if that, or how close we are to running not pump gas, 85, 87, depending on elevation. As I said, although I am not precise, I'm imprecisely imprecise. If a drill has a wobble, it's going to be in the same spot every rotation. Well, this, oh, listen to that cutting. Since it's me, I'm going to do it slightly different every time. It averages out. Imprecise science. But the cuttings are going good here. I might be towards the end of what I can cut. And also to be more imprecise, I am rotating the head occasionally. I am starting to get a little bit of a ridge. So even with that as it is, should be fine. There's a little bit of a lip there. Let me show you. A wee little bit of a lip. This one sits slightly higher than the other here. So, where are we at? There's a limit to how much I can cut. Push that down in there. If I keep on cutting down, I end up with a ridge. So obviously this is only so big, and this is the biggest valve seat cutter that I have. I'm not gonna wait for another one. Yeah, I'm already working on a ridge. Options here. Options. That's all we can do. This is where we're at. This is the state of the world. This is as good as it gets. On the valve seat, there's the cutter, there is the intake valve seat. As you can see, the cutter is smaller than that. So if I keep on cutting, and I'm to the point where I can't cut anymore on the exhaust valve with the bigger 20-degree one, I would end up with this ridge here. One valve for you. You can see that there's actually a little bit of a ridge there. The slight protrusion into the cylinder. We are working with an imprecise science here after all. Or at least in this case, because of the way that it is. Thinking about cutting down the face of it. Now, I really should have done that on something else, like a sanding block or something else before I put that valve seat in. But it's in, so it is what it is. And there is no way I can cut that precisely enough to get a good seal on the thing. So I think we're going to have to go with a slight protrusion. But we got the angle right, which apparently is 45 degrees. If you look at that, 45 degrees. We got the angle right. I'm going to take some hand sandpaper, sand this down to make it a little bit soft. Actually, no, the valve slamming shut on it should handle that. Do that 1,000 times and it's good. I think we're golden here. Things are looking up. She is ready. This thing's gonna go back together. Will it run? But this thing's gonna go back together. And I quoted you earlier that I would be doing this and then I would be redoing it when I purchase a head. I actually purchase a head, so I'm doing this whole head business twice, whatever. That is fine. We are learning, we are having fun, we're doing a thing. We're spending time together, me and you. Come here, come here. We're getting intimate here. This is gonna work. Now, I don't think I need to tell you that it's kind of important that we get all this junk everywhere. Found what this piece is that is broken. It retains the keeper. It's the retainer for the retainer. Interesting. It's getting pretty advanced here. But whether it's broken in two or not, which it is, it will still retain just the same. Click. Now, the spring. Get out of this hunk of junk. And we're upgrading our spring game. Spring goes there, but you gotta get the retainer on. The retainer. which goes right on the top here. The other one of the retaining things. One of them, guys. This goes over the valve stem, prevents you from losing the keeper. And we're in with the Maddox spring compressor, because just in fiddling around, I was trying to work this thing. What a pain. You get the right tool for the job, and surprisingly, for a completely manual tool, is it because it's Maddox? They don't make a Chicago whatever they're doing at the hazard fraud over there. This thing was not cheap. $64, I think? I'll have to check my receipt. Valve spring compressor. Comes in a nice bag. At least it comes fully assembled. We got that going for us here. So it actually grips on both sides of the head. Like so. Now this side goes over your keeper. No, this side goes over your keeper. Sorry, the camera's reversed, but not reversed like you'd expect. Oh, nice. And that thing is... Ooh, look at that. If you should be strong enough to do that. No way. Let's get this thing on. 90-day limited warranty. Now we're talking. Assembled, it looks something like this. Hollow chamber there, so you can install your valve. One, your keepers, and two, the top piece that I've misplaced somewhere. Of course. I mean, that's what happens. And this I can get to it there without... Wow, I don't even need to tighten it. I just did it by the handle. Let me show you here. We'll zoom out. I'll show you the operation. The keepers. So one, these little grooved portions here, those go onto the grooves of that valve stem, which you can see right there. And this is angled. You can see that's kind of an acorn shape. We are fatter on one side than the other. That acorn shape fits perfectly into there. You have to move this a little. Yeah, I've got some play here. We're golden. We are golden. As I pointed out there, the keeper goes on. Now the fat end goes down. Don't lose any pieces here. You know, it's always hard to do things when you're filming it. Always. Put a lot of trust in this. Things go awry. Could lose a finger. I'm trusting you, hazard fraud. All right, there's that. We're going to move this a little bit because I can't quite fit that in. Two hands. All right, we are in and fully retained. Now I'm just going to loosen it. And you're going to see that keeper kind of just suckle its lips right around that. I'm almost out of tension. Yeah. Yeah, buddy. And completely up. Yes! Alright, let's get the other rocker on. Let's roll this motor over, show you some valve in action here. Explanatory clips. Well, actually I do. But when I do, I make sure the compressor's running. We need to do some cleanup in here, and that's exactly what we're going to do. I don't think we need to grind that down. That looks fine. We'll get the vacuum. Let's start with the vacuum here. And we got to clean out our holes for where we mount the head, obviously. Lots of blocks have been mutilated that way and cracked that way of not cleaning them out. I mean, it's only a set depth. The pressure's got to go somewhere. The fluid's got to go somewhere. Liquid oils are incompressible, so you do that, things happen. Bit tip, you take your old bolts, which you're going to throw away anyway, and you cut tips off, or the heads off, screw them down in the block, and then you can slide your new head right on it. From the usual suspects, which is the Rock Auto, we've got the Felpro Gasket Trust Professionals. This is a head gasket set. Not returnable if opened. And hold on, not returnable if opened. Is there a guarantee on the box? There is not. Well, let's open the thing up. Also, from other usual suspects, Connect. Although you can get them anywhere. Do not get the 99-cent one. It is no bueno. But if you spend $1.99, you can get yourself one of them. And this one I've had for a couple years. So, not too bad. Let's see what implement we get here. It should be the complete set to do the head gasket. Water pump seal? I didn't remove the water pump. I'm not gonna need her. Another water pump seal. Has new valve cover grommets. How does that look like a main seal? EGR stuff or something? Now, I don't know what everything goes to, but I do know that we should be using everything that's in this kit. New head bolts, which you need, as they are torque to yield bolts. How did this one fall out? But there are 4 hole back exhaust manifold gasket, and we have our 2 intake manifold gaskets. These are for the split induction system, so you do need 2 of them. Valve cover gasket, nice, good guys, good guys. There's another O-ring seal. Almost looks like a rear main seal for. We'll get to that. 1 head gasket, Printo seal. Well. Oh, it even says top right there. Look at that. Very nice alignment. Look at that. I did take some effort in cleaning those threads before putting them on. I'm excited. Are you excited? This is going to be oh so nice. Let's do a final look through, make sure we got no debris or anything hanging on. Maybe. I mean, I got everything out of there. Turn this engine over. Am I strong enough to just turn it over with the belt? I am strong enough. Maybe. Come on. Well, we're gonna have to blow the whole thing out again. Yeah, that one looks good. All right, air. One final run through. Light is always important. Well, in this case, I think it's important to work smarter. So I'm pulling these studs off. That will make her slide in nicely. Oh, things are coming together. Now, a quick word on torque to yield bolts. It was just a matter of finagling it. Always a matter of finagling, you know? Is that the bolts are there. I mean, the torque spec is important, and we will be doing this to torque spec. I'll show you that in a moment here. Once we get there, I'm excited to have this head in. Yes. We still got a lot more installation to do. Oh, and they're all going in nice. We blew those holes out good. So as clean as we got those holes, there's imperfections and I don't want to say castings. There's imperfections. Not everything is perfectly machined perfect all the time. So you get one of these guys, and the torque to yield bolts. The yield part is we're talking about a clamping force here. Imagine there's a head on that bolt. That's a clamping force going down. Engineers, they're smarter than me, figure this out. But the torque to yield bolts are torque to yield. It's like a torque stick. This is not a torque stick, it's a regular impact. I don't have a torque stick to show you. But basically, you put a torque stick on your impact, it absorbs the extra torque to a point. So if you're putting on lug nuts or anything else, you can do it with your torque wrench without worrying about over-torquing them. And it's the same idea with the torque to yield bolts. Obviously, they're unlike torque sticks, are not one-time use like torque to yield bolts, as they have already yielded. They have stretched. You're stretching the bolts to limit the torque. That's why you do that extra bit to take up for the inaccuracies, the inconsistencies. Maybe there's a dirty passage or something. They exist. This is not a perfectly clean, stereomobile. Imperfections in castings, imperfections in machining, imperfections in screwing, and etc. So that evens out the clamping force. It is to limit the torque that's on there, not to make additional torque. Everything's elastic to a point. Talk about consistency. We're not cross-threaded, yet this one here is a little bit harder to turn. Let's go to this guy. We're not putting any real force. We're just getting her seated. Make sure we're not putting torque on it. Yeah, some are easier to turn than others, and that's always going to be the case. If you remember the disassembly video, oh, that's the one. A lot of these are just absolutely coated with foil all the way down. One was bone dry, and so she squealed. This is going to be the one. If I remember right. If you're not actually torquing her down. And I'm going to get the manual out for our torque spec. All of them hand tight. Ah, well, look at that. More proof. Ford, at one point, knew how many fasteners to use to affix to a thing. Well, now let's do the things. We're going to go to 44. Let's go to the top end. Mine as well. So, tighten all bolts to 30 to 44. Let's do 40. Torque wrench. And then we'll cinch her down there. Well, now, since I don't read directions at all, we should have done that before we started. I'm going to pull them all out, dip them in oil as per the manual specifies, and then reinsert. This is Mobile 1 High Mileage, so chosen because it was on sale at Costco. That's the joke. Chosen for a very important reason. Get her on all the threads there. Ooh, yeah. Now, I mentioned earlier the importance of clearing these out. Having clean threads to go into, because she's going to give you some trouble. The torque value will vary depending on if there's debris and stuff. I mean, think about removing a rusty bolt versus a nice finely machined one with crisp threads. And I warned you about having fluid in that hole because fluid is incompressible. Now, since the manual does state to lubricate it like this, as stated in the manual, the children's manual, also the joke, based on a complete and thorough teardown of a completely different vehicle. So apparently, these holes are deep enough that that fluid being caught in there, that oil, or maybe that just goes right down into the bottom galley. I don't know. I mean, I was in the bottom. I was in the guts of it. I should know. If it's open to the bottom, then having some fluid in there like this, I mean, it's just gonna get... I'm not trying to plead too much excess in there. Schluppy. I mean, there's no oil pan on this right now, so I might be making this more of a mess for myself by dripping all this oil down there. Oh, there's some debris or something in that one. I don't know what happened there. Last one. Perfection. Got the menu out because there is a tightening sequence. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Let's get on number 1. I don't gotta do the click sound now. It will just click. That wasn't a click. Brief interruption from the editing desk to tell you what it is that I'm doing, because I was getting towards the end and getting kind of antsy and excited and stuff, and so I was just running through it. Now, adding a camera in the mix increased, people say at least double, maybe even longer for time that it takes to do a project. So in this case, the manual calls for tightening it first to like 45 pounds or something. So you tighten the sequence to 45 pounds, then you start over again and tighten to whatever it was, 110, whatever the number is. I'm sure I'll tell you momentarily. I did 40, right? Do I just not know my strength? There's 40. Number 2. Number 3. Now we do slow down as we get close to it because you don't want to muscle it and then force torque, but it's not applied torque. So number 4. Number 5. Number 6. Number 7. 8. Number 9. And number 10. Now, per the instructions, back these all off a half turn of number 1. So we're going to go from, what's that, 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Well, I think you get the point that I did it, all of them, whatever. Cut for brevity. Number 3. Number 1. I'm going to take the torque up a little bit. It just doesn't seem like enough. This is America. Always more. Never less. I doubt it's up to 44 there. Whew. Let's see here. Number 1. And number 10. Done with the torque wrench. Let's put that back. Good habits. Now I'm busting out the breaker bar for this. I mean, 44 pounds isn't a lot. So we have to turn it 180 degrees, but in 92 steps of 90 degrees. So we're going to go from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. There is a 90. There is a 90 in number 2. 9 and 10. To avoid any other contamination or other trouble, we'll just go ahead and put the valve cover gasket back on. And it goes like, it does go like that. Why is this a little bit different? The grooves are up. The grooves are, what in the frick? Like, am I misthinking about this? I mean, it looks like it fits, but there is a groove there. Can you see that groove right there? Now, so if I do it this way, well, I guess that's the way it goes. I mean, a little weird, but let's put her down there. Looks like she's got nice little, there's little ears that stick up over this. Very nice. Split port induction, do your thing. Well, you're gonna do your thing. In short order, you're gonna be doing your thing. Get this on right. Now, of course, I'm not going to keep them in any descending order, but these are the bolts that came out of the thing. Which there are many. That's not it. That's an exhaust stud. We got some big bolts, we got some etc. bolts. That's not it. What is that to? I mean, right thread. Unless I put those in the toolbox. You gotta keep track of these things. I mean, there's gonna be some missing bolts. I know there is. You know there is. Well, I have not found a suitable bolt yet. Of course, it's gotta be metrique. How much Ford is really in this motor, I'm asking. So I'm just gonna pop that right into there. And I'm gonna take a Sharpie. I'm gonna write there, center valve cover bolt. So we do not forget. Never forget. Give us our best chance to see it in here. It probably would have sealed fine with how thick and spongy that gasket is, but with these, an exhaust leak right off the manifold is the most annoying thing ever. And yes, it's easy to fix, but it sounds like a tick, 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 etc. We don't want that. So we'll do some things right. Give us our best chance. And this is that not VV, getting mixed up. The variable, the split port induction system. air is a good cleaner as well. So we're trying it another way. The thing came off without removing the fuel rail. I don't know why that's coming off. I mean, you got to consider time. The time I'm going to spend trying to get that fuel rail off, I can get way down to the wrap, deep into the holes, trying to figure out what is wrong with this thing, or I can just install the thing. I made a choice. It's stuck. I don't know why. More in-depth close-up of what we're working in here. Gasket falls. Granted, we're not doing this as precisely as we should, but we will get it done. Let's just do that. Then we'll just rotate. There, sit and rotate. We don't got to worry about aligning two things right now. All right, some steps have been skipped for brevity. Spark plugs, and you tighten those there. Sitting in there, I got this on. An interesting side note on the throttle here. This is the throttle assembly. Not much to it. This is pre. There is no... Is there a switch? Does this double? This is your idle air input. Brings it up when... that's how the idle's controlled. Digitally, is that also a sensor to know when it's off of that? Because even in early Boschtronics, Boschtronics, back to the 70s, there was a throttle switch that knew when you hit the throttle. Maybe missing a sensor here. That thing went to something. But what? Let's figure this all out. So, we've got this guy here. That was that plate. That is the split port induction servo valve that is connected. There are two coolant temperature sensors. I assume one for gauge, one for fuel injection. Discrete systems. There is one connector here for your coil pack harness, digital coil pack. When I say digital, because it fires each one individually. There's no mechanical spinny thingy in there. But yet, we still have a condenser, which is connected. Now, with the three here on the throttle, one is your cruise control. I believe that one is your cruise control. Top one's your throttle. Pull that to throttle up. But the bottom one, that's got to be going to the transmission. And look, she loops around down. Oh, hey, and there's a cruise control apparatus there. Yeah, rolls around. That is your TV valve. TV, not like television, like telescope. I don't know. But what it does is it adjusts the pressure inside the transmission. It's pretty important. If you forget that, and you may not even have a transmission last to go around the block if you forget that TV cable because your clutches aren't going to engage because it thinks you're just sitting at idle. It's not going to go forward. You're going to get slippage. You're just going to burn the thing up. Another day, time goes on, and we're thing mostly together. It's been raining for like ever, so engine degreaser on it and let nature take its course. I lied. I'm not going to put that on all dirty like that. Now, normally, I'll take some of my own advice and actually paint this thing. I also need to count how many bolts I need here, because I should have set these aside and everything should be fine, but you know, reality and whatever's different. Power of air compels you. Oh yeah. We have to get this thing off the ground, which we're gonna do here. And there's that good looking bottom end again. Now, oil pan, but we also need that baffle to go up on there, which we're gonna put up. Now, with these, I'm not sure if you've seen the Garage 54 video where they have the clear engine, they cut a hole in the side, put some plexiglass, but in normal operation, I believe they are all this way, since we have non-Babbitt bearings, fully pressurized. The bearings, the bottom, the end caps, there is no value in them actually dipping into the oil. In fact, it makes it frothier, more troublesome, and that's why we have the shield here to prevent them from doing just that, because all your oil is going to come through the pickup, oil pump. Where's the oil pump on this bad boy? Yeah, there's an oil pump somewhere. Oh, is that the pump right off the thing? I could look into it. We could get these answers, but let's carry on. Oil, and it's pressurized. There's holes in the camshaft or crankshaft. Oil goes through that. Now, here I am telling you all the basics and stuff, but let's get this thing up. Non-returnable if opened. Well, I guess it's no longer returnable. But good guy Ford, look at that. Nice chamber, beautiful, easy replacement there, and a cheap part. What's happening down there is a different story. I did what I could. That's as good as it gets. Progress. We got the side bolts in. Now I just need to tighten 10 of these 10 millimeters all the way around. You know, a ratcheting electric wrench would be good right now, but that's all the way up here. or up there somewhere. And I am right here. This is an abbreviated install. You saw me remove the oil pan, and when I say assembly is reverse of disassembly, the book literally does say that. Probably saving pages or whatever. But if you're curious how we got to this point, how the oil pan is off, why the cross member's off, cross member's got to go back up, easy enough. Lift it up, 2 bolts, 2 big bolts. Then video 2 is your source for that information. I'll just abbreviate all this. Let's tighten some bolts. Well, the pan is on. Now, we're gonna need impact for something. Bloop. And that's totally impact rated socket. Bloop. Don't lose those. Off we come. Very nice. Sam. Oh, good guy, Ford. 3/4. It's not a 3/4. So, what are we doing now? Timing belt. There. Oh, I need to pull you off? Can I just beat you off? Huh. All right. Just tap it in. Tappity. Tap, tap, tap. There. Well, there's the keyway. Everybody has a trick for this. We're just going to keep on warbling slowly. It's not exactly a press fit. It's pretty close, though. And there we go. And what's this? Interesting. Well, here is our timing belt, which, another little rust, doesn't look too bad at all. We're this deep into where there's no way we're putting the same old timing belt. On a side note, fender covers, I have one, are a great tool to use, provided you. All right, let's get on time. We're talking about timing belts, and yes, you can just Google this information. When I was a kid, you didn't have that necessity. You actually needed one of these guys. And I know everybody says the Chilton, you got to get the Haynes manual. Where can you even get a Haynes manual? Anyway, these big Chilton companies have managed to squeeze their way into every auto store. Wait, Napa? I don't recall what Napa has, but I know if you're going to AutoZone or if you're going to O'Reilly, it's Chilton. So, 2.0, yeah. We did that. Line timing marks according illustration. Next page. Here we are. So it looks like the crank is going to go straight up and down, and there is a dot and a dot on the camshaft. Look at that. Let's get the bottom. Per the instructions, you line it up, get her on. I need to, hold on, is there a, let's see, tighten tensioner, whatever, 2 revolutions. 8th drill bit to lock belt tensioner in place. 8mm Allen wrench and turn tensioner clockwise a 1/4 turn. She's a Continental. As you can see, I spared no expense. And whoa, good guys Continental. I got this handy guide here. Only covers the 2.0. 1.9 must be a little different. Must be a different part. So they were nice enough to include all this. Look at that. That is a new tensioner with a new bolt even. Yeah, buddy. Does she roll? Well, of course she rolls. Ooh. I mean, we're doing all this. Do we need a new tensioner? Probably not. But we're still going to pull that off. Let's do that. And it has instructions, even labor hours. Why is the tracer a 5th of an hour? A 5th of an hour. Huh. Less. I don't know. What a beauty. Follow the instructions. A Allen key. That's how you relieve tension. So the right procedure to relieve tension on this is to take your Allen key while it's mounted, Allen key, rotate, and then you stick a drill bit, an 1/8 drill bit. It even tells you what drill bit you should be putting in there. 1/8 inch drill bit. Well, let's put our new thing on. Bolt in there. Well, let's see. I believe the flat side goes down. The stuff I do for you guys, I can't see what I'm doing here. You can't see either. Terrible at this. All right, I've got a bolt in a hole. Let's work on the rotation. Bolt in a hole. I just kind of have to feel out, I guess. Let me hand tighten that. Yeah, how do you like that view? Oh, how did I get so lucky? Right near my foot. It's a 13. Well, space is at a premium, so we're going to get her started like this. And then we'll get the ratchet back on her. There's probably a torque spec. I don't know. New tensioner entirely on. It's a 13 or a 1/2. I have 2 Pittsburgh 13 ratcheting. Ooh, and apparently I splurged at one point and got one that was colored to be under the cap. Now, there is the notch that needs to go straight up. Cannot use the impact for this. You just drop your bolt right back in there. Let's go up. Harder than it seems to do one-handed. A little too much. See, it's a little... Oh, look, there's a keyway there. So let me go back just a little bit. Now, let's go. Can I just do it by hand? Yes. Beaut. And look at that. Perfection. Now for the cam. She's a 15. Let's see. Looking. Oh, there she is. There's the dot. Looking back at the guide here. Align the timing mark arrow with the timing mark on the cylinder head. Well, we cannot go off of this thing. Really? Hold up. Do you see what I see? There's the dot, and the resting spot is just a little bit off of it? What? Perfectly head on. So I'm gonna wash up, I'm filthy, gonna put some gloves on. Not because I'm concerned about my hands, obviously, but timing belt should be put on clean. Well, let's get clean. Golden. This is a very skookum belt. Look at that. I mean, this old belt is fine. I bought the kit. We might as well use it. This is a Volvo 240, the cockroach of wagons. But look at the difference in these belts. Hot damn. That is so thin comparatively. Now, maybe that's why Volvo recommends this belt be changed every 30,000 miles. And although water pumps aren't a high drain, how much energy does a water pump take? Oh no. But this does the water pump as well. Now, in most cases, say we should do the water pump while we're in here. I think it's unnecessary. This belt looks just fine. And with how easy this is, 1.8 hours for a belt, I mean, we could get all preventative on the thing, but completely unnecessary. So you keep the belt tension on the counterclockwise side. So that's under tension. I just pop that right into there. I'm gonna have to finagle it over the water pump. And something like that. Pull this. Maybe. Under tension. Now, we rotate the engine 2 revolutions. 2 revolutions. Now that alignment there isn't perfect, but I'm thinking with rotation, she'll fall in the line here. Let's see. On we go. And looking down here, we are aligned. Success. An absolute pleasure. Few broken bolts. I mean, 1, I think was the count. A single broken bolt. We should work in some sort of methodological order. Obviously, I mean me. When I do these reminders like good habits, like creature of habit, and etc., clean your work area, your tools, and all that. These are for me, not necessarily for you, because you as a viewer, I understand, actually, if you are extremely methodical and don't have ADD, that this is probably just torture for you. And we're doing it all at once. It's the whole thing. Creature of habit indeed, because back here, underneath here, is a little plug, a little hole for a knock sensor. And now that I have the fuel rail in and sitting right there, you got to remove, at least push out the fuel rail. I'm hoping I can just push it out and put it in. I should mount the spark plugs. I should put the bolts in for the exhaust manifold. I should do a lot of things. Let's start with that, the knock sensor. Now, this may be a recipe for the absolute disorder that is my life. of how this happens. But I lost the knock sensor. I was telling you about the knock sensor a second ago, and I lost it. I had it. I don't know where it went. Well, I found it. And I did the thing. I mean, what am I to do? Just keep on looking for the thing and hammering away at it? Or do something differently entirely? So now I'm putting the bolts on the exhaust manifold. And on this one occasion, things work out great. Because here I found the knock sensor. Now, knock sensor is important. And earlier, since everything is ECU, it's all digitally controlled, your timing, your ignition timing is. And depending on the quality of fuel you're getting, I'm going to say quality because it's all about the same. Oh, this ethanol stuff. Actually, ethanol lets you advance the timing a whole lot more. But depending on the quality of the fuel, or the veracity of the fuel, or the anti-knock properties of it, there's a number for that, by the way. Depending on that, you can advance the timing. Now, back in earlier vehicles, where you did that manually, you had to actually get under there and turn the distributor, you'd usually just have a very conservative rating. And it was a different time in this country, and you had a conservative rating. And I say a different time because fuel wasn't quite what it is today. You would have that such conservative rating, not always running at the edge unless you're really into race or something. Because most people didn't have, unless you're kind of a car nut like I am, and you always want to run the best, the max, whatever, you'd run it conservative so you didn't have to reset your timing or retard your timing if you got a tank of gas that was less than optimal. Or a different rating, because, when you're running 87 or 85, if you live in high altitudes, oh, too much. Too long. That is a mixture, and that rating, everything should be fine and perfect. And it's been a while since I've got some questionable gas, honestly, so it's gotten a lot better than it was. But talk about back in the even in the 90s, where we did have this down to a science. But still, it was possible that you'd get a tank of fuel that had a less of an anti-knock. And by knock, I mean the ability of the fuel to withstand dieseling, essentially. Pre-combustion of the fuel combusting before your spark got up. Yeah. That is what you don't want. But fuels are a lot better than they were. And even so, this thing will pull timing automatically, depending if it detests knock. And that's what that is. It's basically nothing more than a little transducer microphone. 2 wires, little microphone. It listens for a knock. If it sees one, it retards the timing for you. How novel to do that automatically. Now, not modern or new or anything. Volvo had this in the 70s. Actually, yeah, early 70s they had this. Completely analog. The fun part. So, knock sensor is, if you run without the knock sensor, it depends on how aggressively this thing is programmed. It definitely has a base timing. And to answer any questions that may come up, you're not going to really get any additional components. There's a base programming, and it's not going to advance it further than that. This is obviously not a performance vehicle. If you have a performance vehicle that requires it, by the way, you can run 85 in anything at all. It's just going to pull the timing. It's not the quality of the fuel. It is just the knock rating or the ability to resist pre-detonation. You get in turbo vehicles that specify at least a 91 or high compression vehicles. Knuckle busting. It's whatever. But even on those, run whatever fuel you get. Go cheap. Unless you're on the track. Well, stupid, but works. I lost a nut, so I found a replacement. Of course she's too long. This is fine. And I put my sins right in top. No, wait, there's a heat shield that goes over that. Oh, it'll be hidden. Nobody will be the wiser. But got the exhaust manifold on. Now, exhaust manifold to cat. Now, it has this sort of almost unusual seal there, but of course my kit's got a new one. It looks to be the same on both sides. Oh, and an EGR thing right there. Very nice. So a little biscuit just falls right over the O like that. Now, I just got two. We can do this without dropping my phone down there. That'd be no good. It's got these biggins here. Oh, whoa, what am I doing? Hold on. There's an inner And look. Well, I should have a replacement seal for that too. Well, that's just a metal plate. We're just going to run the same thing. Because if I had one, I don't know where it went. Looks like the top part is the fatty part. And it looks like most of the sealing happens on the... Well, I'm really going to be kicking myself. This thing's going to leak. I might have been too premature in putting that cross member back on, but 4 bolts, easy enough to pull off. And then we should be able to slide this right up. Or I could do the exhaust manifold off. We got choices. The choice was made, and it was to remove the exhaust manifold. And it's easier than getting down there again, I suppose. Now, well, I don't know how many cars and bolts this thing has undone, but I tell you, it's done the same bolts numerous times because of things like this. Literally a manual right there that tells me this stuff. That will tell me that I have to put the cat back on before I put the cross member back on. The manual says that. But, well, of course, where is that? Where is that piece that I broke? We got some lookings to do here. That's a PVC. What's that hose go to? Some connects that. We'll figure it out. But you are going to need some new vacuum hoses. More facts of the life. Sure we got everything connected here. Oh, got to tighten that one up. Should have done that before I put the air hose back on, but I can get to her. That hose should probably be replaced one thing at a time. But the top end, I mean, this stuff is just bits and bolts and stuff. The vacuum lines, it's not really exciting. So if I'm sparing you the details, I mean, this thing has got to be getting long. I have no idea how long this video is. I said I haven't edited it yet. But, oh, while we're here, do we have any refrigerant? I mean, I'm getting out into the weeds. I don't even, oh my goodness. At rest, 60 PSI. And I turned the compressor by hand while I was down there. She turns free. This thing, if she runs, might even have running AC. Been a very un-Ford-like experience. No, a single broken bolt. Ford, where'd you lose your way? And we're completely back, almost completely back together. I put a bracket somewhere. I'll fight. Seriously? Seriously? I was just around looking for this bracket. Like, what in the world? How did I lose a bracket? And look at this. All right, I will put the bracket on. Other pieces were missing. Apparently me talking about it makes me find pieces. Is this part of the breather right here that goes to maybe up there? I don't know. We'll figure her out. Either way, she's going to start without that. We'll get that all figured. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Let me put this bracket on. Perfect. Perfect. Ha! Moments here. Nothing goes awry. All right, let's pause it right. We should be sure of that. That's negative. All right. Or is my battery dead? No, a little spark there. If this thing should run, our first stop is going to be to get a new battery. Let's get in the thing. Let's see what happens here. These are our moments of truth. Let's finagle all the way around here. We do have power. Well. Ever start junk? So close. Come on, buddy. That fuel pump work. Try to give her a little fuel here. I need a battery that never start junk. All right, in contact. Yes! Let's unstudy if I ever saw one. Alternator's not working, we'll look at that. A little tickety, but It's on. Probably check the oil. Pull this thing out. I need to get my other Ford Escort out of the way. But the battery that I was trying to start this thing with, you saw the crank and it came right off the charger. Dead. But fret not, because we'll jump start it. Jiminy. How many years old is that? 7, 8, whatever. Enough juice to jump start the thing. Now we'll let her charge. Man, oh man. Seems to run fine. Hey, I fixed the alternator problem, by the way. Does the AC work? It does. Well, I was right, the AC does work. But damn, does that sound bad. The knock appears to have gone away. Still doesn't sound great. Somebody should check the compression on this. Beautiful, though. Bump. Oh, my goodness. Maybe just need a second to build oil pressure or something. Huh? Well, I'm an idiot, and we're coasting because I just got a little bit up to speed. I drove a mile, and nothing on the temp gauge there. And I was thinking, did I wire these things backwards again or something like that? But no, that's not the I didn't put any coolant in it. Oh, now we're losing speed. Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. See, she got another start left in her. Well, she's not perfect. A little uneasy. But she's running. And even in my experience so far, which is not very much in driving this around. I've driven it 1 mile, but forgot I needed coolant, and then I stopped and we added coolant. So now that we did that, I have a temperature reading. What was I thinking before? Not perfect, but will it run through town and stuff? The AC even works. Let me show you. Put that on max right now. Well, you can see it down there spinning. That there. AC compressor compressing. The fan is running. Oh, what a beaut. Not a fan of idling. I'm giving her the beans. Now if I let off. Come on, but a little low. Come on, recover there, buddy. Let's see. Yeah. It's OBD2. How novel. 196. We're not going to overheat, are we? Maybe we are. Full of coolant. Well, that gauge still shows down in a quarter. Is that usually where they run? I don't know. Calculated load. Bunch of stuff. There's a spark advance, whatever. 6. Oh, your idle is 207. Come on. That can't be right. 752. 719. I mean, 750 is probably right where she should idle. Okay, when hot, idling. I mean, the fuel, this thing's probably been sitting for a bit, who knows? Permanent plates can't even tell you when she was registered. Now, with a full tank of fuel. Try this again. That knock goes away after a second. I mean, it's nice. I like how she handles. Though the 97, does not have the same flat. We used to call it a crack dash because that's where it would get cracked in the sun. That's why we called it a crack dash. But the 97 doesn't have it. There's a whole airbag thing over here. Not a convenient thing for me to put my phone over there. This audio is terrible. It's raining. The phone is sitting on the gauges. Take this thing on the interstate. That's probably not advisable, but here we are. Well, this thing is just miles ahead in comfort than the 94. Although the motor, tickety, shakety, we're still doing the interstate. You know I'm gonna send it. What do you think, I'm silly? If we are to throw a rod or explode in a spectacular fashion, 1, you get to see it, and 2, I mean, I would rather it happen here, next to my house, short walk home, everything's fine, rather than afar where it's a big inconvenience and a big problem. You know, I'm not sure if I want to take her up to Redline here. I'm not sure at all. Highway speeds are 80 on the thing, or $3,000. Well, let's do a hard stop at our exit here. See how bad it sounds when we get out. I don't know. I mean, the power, well, it's also an automatic. It's the slush box. This is just how they felt. Still shakety, still itself. So dangerous. All right. No insurance either. Also, never registered the thing. Let's do this interstate run again for you. That shifting is rough. Transaxles at the time were not known for their durability. Let's try this one more time here. Do a few good hard stops here. Get the brakes nicely figured out. Stop slowing. I'm not going to forgive you, slush box. One, you're rough. Let's see here. This is going to be the last time I do this. Yes, I am having the time of my life here. All right. You know, I'm going to stay on it. I've been up and down here twice. I didn't see no cops. But I'm really into her. That might be all she does. Yep, I am flat out, as you can see. It is about all she does. Alright, I'm gonna let off here. Is there an overdrive? Or do I have transmission trouble here? Fully off. Is that overdrive? No, there's a passing gear above 80. There's gotta be. Well, now we do our hard stop. Oh, there's a little smoke coming from the hood. Oh, was it that breather? Yeah, I gotta put that thing back together. Or oil on the motor, or whatever. Still shaking. Oh, I was about to ask why my fan wasn't turning on, and she just did. Perfection. I don't know how long it would take it to figure that out. Do your magic, Zurich. I also got the ZR12 or 15. The next model up for this, because you need it for the imports, you know? It's going to be a misfire. Come on. Misfire. Well, yep. Pending EGR. Excessive detected. All right. And the other one's going to be the... Oh, yeah, she does got a misfire. Oh, cat's blinking. We've driven afar and we're about to play one of my favorite games. How well sealed is this car?
Whoa!
It's coming right for us. Getting wet already. Oh, that's not good. Side. That side's fine. Ah.
That's crazy. Oh.
That is not sealed at all. Is there a seal? Jeez. How's yours doing? Is it? Oh, I'm soaked.
Wow.
Man. Yeah, again. Oh, the back too. We can fix this problem. It looks like somebody locked the keys in and then did that. Yeah, of course I'm getting wet. Jeez. And it barely got the grease stains off of it. Just tried to bend her back here. Let's see, how good are we? Oh, yes. You know, I, of course, could have checked these things before I got all this. Looks like water is coming out. There's hope for me. And we've driven afar. Ignore the noise. Kids are at a park. Krylon. It drove here. It's tickety at times. It's stalledy at times. But it's running, and I will say that between the 94 and the 97, this feels like, well, maybe because it is a generation more modern, this feels like a more modern vehicle. It feels like it's got the comforts, and it does these things. Like on the 94, because that thing is the 94, Link, whatever, the thing is just kind of plumb worn out. She's got a lot of miles, she's got a lot of use on, a lot of memories in her. It's just not worn in like a shoe. It's worn in like a cheap shoe. Remember, like one finger. Oh, that is so nice. And I did bend this, but I might have actually bent it too far because now it kind of pops when I open it, which is nice. That's a nice seal in there. But this at only $135,000. Questions for $135,000 for a catastrophic engine failure. That probably was a head gasket, and it looks like there was a head gasket in a bottle used, and then a valve seat dropped. So $135K. In my opinion, that's too young to be needing a head gasket. Use a single overhead cam. A single. In the 90s, when they had the double overhead cam, there was a lot of sealing area, a lot of excitement going on. Those, you're going to need a head gasket, no matter what it is, whether it's Honda. Yeah, maybe Toyota is the exception, but you're going to need a head gasket at some point. Well, this is going to conclude this episode. Can we? Love us. I'm about to hand this thing off, but yeah, ignore that check engine light. Hold up. Abs. The slush box really takes the joy out of everything, doesn't it? But it's not very smooth. Kind of feels like it's really kicking on the shifts. So it's going to be a take your bets now, and I will give you an update at a later date and time. Which fails first? My shoddy machining or a Ford transaxle? 90s Ford transaxle. I don't know. This one might be up in the air.